See if tech. Oh, it worked. I'm always surprised, Elizabeth, when it works.
Well, each day is a new surprise waiting for us around the corner. So yes, we are here. We're live. Hi.
We are live. Thank you all for joining us on Leadership from the Heart. Super excited. Our guest today is Greg Schwartz. And if any of you watching have attended any important real estate conference over the last well over a decade, 12 years or so, odds are you've probably heard Greg speak. And maybe, Greg, you've grabbed coffee with a few of those people watching.
But
Greg, you're
with some of these people too, probably.
You're known for your passion in making real estate agents successful and helping them grow your business. Previously, you've head up Zillow in several roles for over 13 years. Chief Business Officer and President of Media and Marketplace was your most recent role. And then you, at the end of 2019, left Zillow, and I hear that it was going to be a gap year for you.
Yes,
Can you talk a little bit about that? Welcome to the show.
And here I am in my basement, so it all worked out.
It worked out really well. Well, and a little known secret that you might not have heard, but Renee, we have a mutual friend, our CMO, Chief Marketing Officer at EXP Realty, Mitch Robinson. We've been told that everything he's ever learned is all from you. Is that true?
That's funny because everything I've ever said, Mitch told me to say.
Oh,
it all worked out.
All right, Greg, that's okay because you're in good company. Elizabeth and I love authentic collaboration. So it sounds like you are all about authentic collaboration, which speaks very well for our show on Leadership from the Heart. So we're good. We're in good company today.
Good. Well, let's dive in.
I know. Let's dive in. So let's talk a little bit about this gap year. What you're coming out. You're speaking to the masses today. What brings you out today?
Yeah, something that I think many of you share. So I was at Z for 13 years, and it was an all-in. We called it a full contact professional sport. I'm sure many of you feel the same way. So it was, up every waking hour. There was something to do, someone to talk to, something to be involved in. I know we all probably feel that way. There wasn't a moment where there wasn't something coming at me. And after 13 years, I was tired.
Yeah.
And I think of myself as having superhero level energy, like I think we all do, but I got tired. And so the grand theme was I saw all these really talented folks at Z who were in their late 20s. And I decided I was going to learn from them. And maybe you've interacted with this, but I had all these terrific talents coming on in at 28 or 29, pre-kids, but married probably or with a partner. And they were saying, dude, can I take a year off? And I was totally thrown by that because I come from the school that you get up, you grind, you go to bed, you get up, you grind. And that's what my whole career had been since the day I got out of college. And here were these smarties who were taking years off. And what I observed is they came back to work a year later because they don't really have a choice. I let them go. I don't control anybody as a leader. They'd come back rejuvenated and then work another 4 or 5 years till they asked for their time off. So this was my time to get a gap. And I was supposed to be mountain biking across the Scottish Highlands this very week with 10 friends for 14 days. And I'm happier talking to you from my basement.
Wow. Well, we're very happy you're visiting with us from your basement, but I hope that you've just put that plan on hold and are going to go back to the biking plan because that sounds amazing.
Yeah, one day. We'll get back to everything one day. But yeah, so I'm coming here from a basement because I'm really grateful to you two and to Mitch and to thousands of real estate agents who for the past decade really made my career happen and gave me so much. And this is sincere. And we really drove the real estate industry forward together. So insofar as this is a trying and confusing and cloudy time, I'm happy to come out of the basement here, not play ping pong for a moment. This is my ping pong back here. The kids blew me out of my office, so be it. And insofar as you'll listen, I'll talk, and maybe we can sort through how to move forward together.
Love that.
You referenced the real estate agents that have been in your life and in a part of your career, which we got to say, we know you have worked with the best of the best, the real estate leadership, right? Like you have just had the best top agents you've been working with for well over a decade. What have you learned from those agents?
Yeah. So it's a really interesting question and something I think a lot about, and I've tried to apply to my career. There's an optimism to those. And by the way, there's not a single model. I've got a ton of friends that take a great pride in it. They started as individuals and built teams of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 agents and provided incredible livings for themselves, for their family, and for their teammates. And I have some that just are world-class experts in their community. I call them the mayors of their community. And like, I'm buying a house, we're moving. So I'm buying a house in Connecticut right now. And my agent is the mayor of our town in Connecticut. And the commonality is they tend not to worry about what could be and what someone else might do. Yeah. And what slight some company might have committed and what was said on social media and what was in the comments on an Inman News article. And they're generally not commenting in Inman News articles. They're looking forward trying to help people with an authentic care for those people every day. And it just builds and it builds. Mm. I wish I had I wish I had a scientific formula for you, but they look forward, they don't look back, and they tend not to be nervous worries.
I don't think a scientific formula is needed at all. I think that what you just shared is very powerful for all of us to take note of, is that it's basics, right? And this is something I think we're experiencing is agents who are allowing themselves to sit with fear in the driver's seat right now, and those that are not, is like Elizabeth and I, we've talked so many times, is we don't have all the answers. I just know we're in action every day, right? And we're going to figure it out as we go along. No one has all the answers right now. No, none of us do. But we have to learn by trying and then learning those lessons.
Yeah, so that's something, I've hired thousands of people, thousands of great people over the last few years. And I look for a few basic principles beyond their skills and the topic and their training and what they were doing before. I look for intellectual curiosity. Single most important thing in the folks that I've worked with that have scaled to be amazing leaders is they're just really curious people, and they like to figure out problems, and they tend to be unsatiable in their want for learning. And whether they get that from tuning into things like this, whether they're readers, whether they love podcasts, I don't really care. They're just really curious. So that's what we look for.
Always learning. Right? Yep. Whether it's from a book or an experience or learn. I was just masterminding with a few people, and we were all talking about situations we hadn't encountered before, because this is such a unique situation, but even things in the real estate environment, and how are you handling that, and just working through it. And we're going to come out better and stronger as agents that are learning and taking all of this as experience and putting that in our tool belt. So you've talked about what you've learned around top agents from around the country, and you've had a really awesome career. And then you go into this off year that steps you right into a global pandemic. What are you learning about yourself after? I mean, you had these big expectations, right? And obviously those had to change a little bit, but what are you learning about yourself leaving that and kind of where you are right now?
Yeah, cool. Thanks. I love talking about myself.
Right? You're in the hot seat. Don't you know, Greg? You're in the hot seat today.
Yeah.
Therapy session 101. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to do therapy. Okay. Stepping away from the flow, and I used to call work the flow, because I would just come on in and there was a flow. I had the world's best administrative partner. I'm not going to say her name out loud because I wanted to come back to me at some point. But we booked my day in 15-minute slots, very structured 15-minute slots. And so there was a flow of email, of people, of phone calls, of meetings, of stuff. We all have stuff. Every one of us have it. Kids, families, sports games. And so what this time off has allowed me, I've really been off for 6 months now, is the opportunity to slow down and think. and look in the mirror a little bit. And what I found is a formula that works for me, which is really, really important, is my productivity, my creativity, in my value as a dad, as a husband, as a little worker bee, comes from my vitality and my health. And we each have different formulas. I used to be a 4-hour sleep guy, and I thought that was what was cool. And I found getting my sleep and my fitness in line allows me to think more clearly and be better at everything I do. And so I'm doing much less of the flow and much more of very methodical scheduling and planning in my days, and it's already starting to get busy. But I'm now one of those compulsive folks. Have you ever heard of Ariana Huffington, like the kind of the big personality talk?
No, I haven't.
So, she founded HuffPo and has been a really successful entrepreneur. And I was at an Inman event in LA many years ago at this big, giant $50 million mansion. Perhaps someone on the line was there. And Ariana talked. And I remember not able to hear what she was saying. And there may be other people on the stream right now that can't hear this. But she talked about putting her phone away and not multitasking. She talked about the danger of multitasking. And I thought it was just bonkers. And how she tried to do one thing at a time with great focus and great intensity and with clear thinking. And it was talking about being much more productive. Mm-hmm. And that's my jam now. So if you want, I've not shared it with anyone, but I have a kind of a time hack that I'm doing every single day. And it's led me to get more done in less time. I'm not preachy, but do you want it?
Yeah, of course we do. We want a time hack from Greg.
Because what you're talking about is so key. My husband used to always say, oh my gosh, my wife is the queen of multitasking. And I would always pride myself, I'm the queen of multitasking. And quite frankly, what you're saying is right. It's a discipline to be able to focus on one thing at a time and be more productive. So please share your life hack.
So the foundation of this is this session I did with a neurologist that we did at work with a neurologist. And what the neurologist was working us through is a lot of the stuff that we've all studied about the brain. But what he really got through to me on was that you can almost think about it as a bit of a fog, that the human mind is actually not tuned to multitask, and that there's a tax when you work on an item and you're thinking about it consciously and you move on to the next thing. Your mind is still subconsciously working on a residual on that item. So when you're going from topic to topic to topic to topic, you're losing a bunch of your cognitive capability, dragging behind you in the topics you were already on. Does this kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I found when I had too many things at me, I would get a little foggy. And this fella really helped me to understand that a little bit. So here's what my jam is. I have a very structured day now. Get up at 6:30 a.m. every single day, and I meditate for 10 minutes with an app called Waking Up, Sam Harris. I adore it. I wake up with Sam Harris's app every single day, bar none. I don't talk to a human being. Then I personally go up and I cook breakfast now. I'm the shorter cook for the family, for the kids. And I cook breakfast every day. And it makes me the happiest of my day to burn pancakes every day. And I do every day. And then I personally go to a Google Doc, and I leave a business journal every single night about what I accomplished and what I didn't accomplish. And I pick 3 or 4 things. I don't run a to-do list because I find that's a burden of guilt. So I just record what occurred and what didn't. And then I go and set my objectives for the day. And then I work till 2:30 every day, straight through. And I schedule in half hours or hour sessions exactly what project I'm going to work on. And that project ends. If I haven't completed the project 60 minutes in, it's over. I can't go into overtime, or I show up late to something like this and feel guilty. Does this make sense? And so I time structure it very, very carefully in Outlook. And then at 2:33, I take a walk with my wife. No kids allowed. No guilt.
Aww.
I take a walk 4 or 5 days a week, it works out with my wife every day, and we just talk for 30 minutes. And then I go home, and then I get on a bike every single day, either Peloton. I hope there's some Pelotoners out there, or I get on a mountain bike every day, and I'm not allowed to bend. And then we come on home, we cook a little dinner, and I go back to work for a few hours. And then I go to bed by 10:30, 11. And I got that from the former chairman of Google, who goes to bed at 9:45 every night, no matter what. There's nothing in the world that can keep him up past 9:45, and that provides him a structured, and now me, a structured sleep schedule. And my productivity has soared over these 20-hour days I used to do. And I'm sorry I went really deep there, but I'm really, really passionate about structure and intention, to be productive and to be superheroes like we all want to be.
It's important that you point that out, though, Greg, because I think real estate agents as a whole find themselves in a trap of opening their computers every single morning and saying, what next? What am I supposed to be doing? We have so much coming at us. Everyone around the globe has a lot of information coming at us. But I think real estate agents, independent contractors, right? One of our challenges is I open up my computer and what am I doing? And so when you're talking about filtering that through and really staying focused on the item, that's a really good skill set to work on, especially now because there really, for a lot of people that are in quarantine, there isn't a structured environment as much.
Yep. Renee, I would ask, how many emails do you get a day? Do you think you get on a typical day?
Greg, I cannot stand emails. I don't use the word hate. My kids aren't allowed to use the word hate either. I will tell you here and now, for the record, I hate email. I'm sure I looked at my email 2 hours ago. By now, I probably have 150 emails waiting for me. It's diluted. It's noise. Can't stand it.
Yeah, Elizabeth, where are you at? How many do you think you get a day?
That's what I'm looking. Well, right now, and I've been on email all day. Right now, I have been on meetings and then the last hour. Right now, I have 163 waiting for me. Yep. And I've been on email throughout the day. So yes, and I'm one of those people that if I see that red number, I stress out about it. Like I need to get through everything, and it takes like you said, it takes your focus off of other things.
So are you an inbox 0 person or an inbox full person?
I'm an inbox person.
Okay.
0.
So I wish I could be you, but I can't. That doesn't work for me. So I'm an inbox 29,000 person. I've got 29,000 unread emails in my inbox. I use it as a search tool. And the day I decided this some years ago because I was failing. There was not enough time in the day to read all the emails. Yeah. I decided I was not going to let other people control me. I was going to control me. And when I felt obligated to return every email I got, I was ceding time management to others. And it just wasn't fulfilling to me. So I try not to be rude, and I try to respond to critical things that will harm others or harm deals or harm others if I don't respond to, or something that will cause offense. But beyond that, I'm out of that line of business because I got to control my own time.
That's very impressive because I will be honest, when you said 29,000, like my anxiety level just went up a little bit for you, right? But it also lets me know, wow, thank you for responding to our email. So
I was thinking the same thing. Oh, holy bejeebers. Greg, you answered our email. I'm really grateful we made it through 29,000.
Thank you for that. That's an accomplishment for us today.
I learned from a fellow I used to work with, Spencer Raskoff, who's a terrific guy and really, really, really brilliant with his workflow stuff. Taught me how to sort my inbox. So I've got a whole email sort kind of strategy for another day. I don't want to bore everyone about his system that I've adapted. And it's allowed me to not miss important opportunities like this one.
We're going to tap into that. In fact, we'll be calling you later because I know phone calls will probably get through and emails won't. So we'll call you later on that, Greg.
You bet.
So I have a question I have been just really eager to ask you and can't wait for your answer. And that is, what do you think of when you hear in the real estate world the word disruptor?
Disruptor. Fear. The first thing that comes to mind is fear. Someone that's fearful, and or someone that's trying to sell me something. by saying someone else is a disruptor. Hey, this is a thing that's been thrown around in the real estate business a lot in the last 5-10 years. And it's almost a slur. That person's a disruptor. It's a threat in some ways. And I simply don't subscribe to it. The real estate industry has been a dynamic biz that's been changing forever. And can I veer into a story a little that I don't know if I've ever told out loud?
Yes.
Okay. It was a particularly trying time at Z when lots of people were yelling at us and me in lots of different environments. And it was always the end of the real estate industry is going to be because you do X. Remember when we launched agent reviews, people were practically throwing pencils at me when I was out in public. And I had a business trip to Denver, and I was sitting in the amazing office with the great Dave Liniger, the fellow that founded Remax. And it was a senior statesman moment, and he looked at the stressed young kid sitting in his office, and he said, "Son," I don't think he called me son, but I don't know that he knew my name. He said, "Son, this hard time you're going through, it's happened time and time again." I said, "Oh, really? I'm not the first of its kind." And he said, "No, when I launched Remax, I was the first to ever put a fax machine in a real estate office. And they wanted to run me out of the real estate industry as a result, because they said undermining the human connection that happens at a closing or in document exchange will destroy the real estate industry." And it gave me this clarity that stuck with me ever after that moment. It was a kind statement, which is, things don't change as quickly or as much as people fear that things will. And that's okay that things change, by the way, because the same core things I think have driven real estate in the roles of real estate agent, and they'll continue to. This is infrequent transaction that happens, we all know, every 7 years, which is really, really scary and pretty darn complicated. And houses aren't cars, they're not commodities. So each deal is different. And I need a guide to guide me through that process, because if I make a mistake, the risks are really, really high, right? Risks are really, really high if you don't clear title properly.
Right.
There's so many significant risks. And the system works pretty darn well. We sell 5, 6, 7 million homes a year through the system that exists, right? So great real estate agents guide me through those things. And that role is gonna continue. Sure, the stuff, the cruft on the outside, what forms we use, how we communicate, what the workflow is. Can I put a digital signature? Thank God, the most innovative thing in the real estate industry, I think the last 10 years is digital signature, which is awesome, by the way. The fundamental purpose, though, I fall in love with a house, I want to live in it, I borrow some money, and I need a guide to get me through something I don't do very often. I think that's intact, regardless of fax machines, mobile apps, automation, robotics, AI, all this stuff is two people coming together to get a deal done.
So with everything you just said, considering the situation we're all in now with COVID-19 and every industry is being affected, where do you think our industry or the real estate industry is going to go from now and once we slowly all come out of this?
Yes, and I would share I'm selling a house and trying to buy a house in the middle of this all.
Right.
And we've got the first 2 showings of our house right now in Seattle. We're not home right now in Seattle that we've had in a month. So this is an exciting day. 2 showings in a single day. Fingers crossed. And we got a closing coming up that we're doing digitally. Via
Breathe. It's going to be okay.
Okay, go back to my time schedule. It's all going to be great. Here it is. Safety and predictability, I think, is going to be some of the critical things going forward for real estate. And safety is our personal and our team and our customer safety. I think that's straightforward. We're all thinking about that. And then our reputational safety, which is a point I want to humbly suggest. Can't tell anyone anything, but I want to humbly suggest that this is a time where I don't really care what my high school friends think about biology. Because I remember my high school friends in biology and myself, and we were terrible, right? in biology. And so hearing from a friend or my real estate agent what they think about social policy, biology in politics is a really risky thing for their reputations. Because I'm not saying where you are on things, but you're going to be off of where half of your potential customers and your partners are, because we're also all over the place. So my humble suggestion on when thinking about safety is just to put reputational safety in that mix, and just don't say it unless it's something that's positive and helpful. Okay. And one of my favorite friends in real estate, I am talking to you right now if you are watching, because I'm fearful for your career because of the stuff you were saying. And I tried to talk a friend, this fella, off the ledge once, and now it's his deal. And I have no vested interest other than friendship. Here's the other thing to think about is this is a time of leadership, and the leadership our customers and our teammates need is very clear process and SOPs, standard operating procedures. And I would encourage all of you who are running businesses, running plays right now to think about what's my SOP for everything, because that's how you eliminate fear and how we get the system rolling. And be upfront. Do it in a checklist and do it in a video. Every time you get a new buyer or seller, send them what your SOPs are. How are you going to show their house? How are you going to run a closing? How are you going to do a listing presentation? If you have a buyer, what's your prep walking in the front door? Are you going to hand them gloves? Are you going to hand them Purell? Are you going to be with them when they go and tour a house? Will the seller be there? Who's going to be in the room? What should they do after they leave? We all have so many questions about what to do. Make a statement, a very detailed statement, and share it openly. And I think that's how we get the liquidity of the real estate process moving, is let's just eliminate the fears and be very, very straightforward about what the SOP is. And we've done that in our buy and sell as well. There's a box that I was able to source, a box of gloves at the front door, and there's a Purell thing that no one's stolen so far at the front door, and my whole family leaves at the front door. My real estate agent has a whole store of Clorox wipes and wipes down everything before my family comes back in. We wipe down the handles. And so guess what? The fear of showing our house has been mitigated, and the stuff can spin.
That's a huge nugget you just shared. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm having an aha moment knowing that we've put processes in place mid-March when this all started to launch off, and we have that together. But you just touched on something so important, is to make sure you're sending videos out about that to the customer in anticipation of whatever that next phase is. That's huge, great advice.
Yep.
I think it's communication and enhancing communications as well, not only with our clients, our buyers, our sellers, but also I'm realizing with other agents and our lender partners and our title companies. And so I think we're all learning how to navigate this with grace together, and it's making us all better in whatever capacity where we are in the industry. So I think there's a lot of positive that's coming out of it. And it'll be interesting to see how our industry progresses down the road.
I think so.
I foresee lots of efficiencies for both the customer and the agents.
Right.
That's what I think we should all be focused on. I'm really eager to hear, Greg, what are your thoughts? So when we talk about, disruptors, that word, right? And I loved your explanation and thoughts around that. What do you think the fate is of the iBuyer platforms and instant offer platforms? What's that landscape going to look like in a post-COVID world?
Yeah, the crystal ball. And it's just crystal ball. Hey, I think iBuying's here to stay. I think some of the players may change. And I think real estate agents are going to figure out how to put it in their toolbox as a tool rather than a disruptive point of fear. I got to expect most sellers and most buyers, especially in these complicated times where mistakes matter a lot and cost a lot, are going to look for the guidance of a real estate professional to provide the full scope of opportunities they have. And they got to think those iBuying firms are going to covet partnerships with real estate agents who bring them business. And the industry will figure out the economics of how that flows. I think that's going to take a little bit of time, but you all as the guide in between that you can present listing the MLS traditionally, selling even more quickly through an iBuyer, or maybe, creative financing through a lending partner if someone's really worried about bridge financing, for example. That's one of the reasons why a lot of iBuying happens. So my suspicion is this thing is going to be a little less scary, and a little bit more tried and true, and there'll be participation for the community in it largely.
One question I have is, Zillow is such a big giant with the leads, right? Everybody knows, the leads come through Zillow. So what comes to mind when you hear an agent say those leads don't work? Because we have people that are very, very successful running leads, and it's a total different game. But what's your response to that?
Yes. And before I start talking, you are both allowed to hold up your hand and tell me to stop, because this is a topic I'm pretty hot under the collar on. And here it is.
Good.
I know. I'm on the edge of my seat now.
Yeah.
Bring it, Greg. Bring it.
I also don't hate a lot, very much. I hate, other than mustard. I hate mustard. I hate the word lead. I think the word lead is a dehumanizing term that allows for us to treat people poorly, right? And with little regard. These are customer inquiries, right? It's not a lead. It's a customer, as long as it's from a viable source, right? A real source. So went to a house most frequently on one of the sites, filled out a form with their name, first name, last name, phone number, email address, hit submit on a specific home. They weren't looking for a new friend. They had an inquiry on a home. So first of all, let's destroy the term leads because it's gross and it allows for bad behavior. So let's first go to a customer inquiry or whatever, a referral, whatever you want to call it. Let's call these things humans. So I don't find a lot of bad humans. I may have humans that are at different points of the engagement of shopping or selling. It's on me as the professional to suss out whether I should invest a lot of time in that human relationship or not, and to have an SOP, right, for how I address folks at every stage of buying or selling. It's on me to have a process. It is for me to show some empathy and humanity and not look at this as some mechanical inquiry from a machine, because it's not that. It's people with dreams. We only have value in the real estate industry if we think about these people with empathy as they're trying to build their lives somewhere. They may not have enough money for a down payment. That doesn't make them a bad person. They may be trying to rent a place that's for sale because they're desperate to find a place in a neighborhood that they want their kids to go to school in. Doesn't make them a bad person. Just make them a rental opportunity. And maybe one is kind to that rental lead, that rental inquiry, and get them to someone that can serve rentals. And maybe you stay in contact with them. And you check in when you know their lease is going to expire 3 months before you're going to buy the next time off of it. So I don't think they're lousy leads. There's the wrong frame of consciousness on those leads. And these are just folks with some beliefs and some wants, and it's on us. That's one. Two, as many times as I heard there were lousy leads and someone would quit and it was a ripoff, it was a scam, there's something wrong with it, there was a complaint. I found someone in that very same zip code making a wonderful living with the exact same assets. Mm-hmm. And by the way, doesn't make the agent good or bad. It might mean the agent doesn't want to work something that converts to a transaction at 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10%. It might not be for them. But they shouldn't malign the people or the services. So I've seen thousands and thousands of wonderful businesses growing on top of these platforms. Okay, you didn't hold up your hand.
Well, you were saying your jam earlier. Okay, Greg, this is our jam, right? Like what you are speaking is so our jam. There is a huge challenge in the entire real estate industry for the misinterpretation of what a lead is. And I've never heard it explained the way you just did. That's amazing.
Perfect. Right.
Amazing, Greg. I mean, I'm like jaw on the floor. So on our team, we've been converting online inquiries, leads, as we know in the industry, since 2007. Yep. And it has been a sore spot for us when we have people say, well, that doesn't work. Zillow leads don't work. Your online leads from your website don't work. Whatever work, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And it's frustrating. And I think the source is, quite frankly, it starts at the proverbial desk of the team leaders and the broker owners who constantly, incessantly go out and try to attract agents based on I have leads. And the confusion around the recipient of that message is an agent seeking business, and they sit there and say, okay, so that means you have a transaction for me. It's not a transaction. A lead or an inquiry online is a door of opportunity opening for the agent to earn the relationship to hopefully serve that person. Yep. So you are like, what you just said is epic, and it needs to reverberate across the whole industry, because there's a problem that people are misinterpreting what it is. And it comes from the way that's being presented at the leadership role of team leaders and brokerage owners.
Well, and what you just talked about is what Renee and I talk about all the time. And the way you positioned it, Greg, is brilliant, because it's actually shifting my mindset as we're sitting here, because my business is all relationship based. My business is all referral based. Right. And so when I see leads, I'm like, I don't do leads. That's not my thing. But the way you just positioned it as customer inquiry, somebody is looking for their home in their neighborhood for their child to go to a good school. Like, you're tugging at my heartstrings on that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's absolutely me. So it's already changing my mindset on how I'm going to approach that when I get a customer inquiry. And I'm not going to use the word lead anymore. And I'm going to start training those people in my circle that listen to what Greg said, right? And so I think if we start cascading that out, it makes a big difference in how we're approaching these inquiries and how we can make a difference. But I love that. And so that's something I'm already going to add to my vocabulary. I'm going to take one word out and replace it with a new one. And I know that right there is going to shift my business.
How many times in your biz have you seen, I think of the shopping process as very serendipitous. Like, sometimes some people have a plan. I am moving. I need a real estate agent and to find a house, or I'm having a baby. But often there's just a little trigger that someone goes from casually looking at a site or casually talking to a real estate agent or casually having an inquiry. And at a moment's notice, it can trigger when they see something that they fall in love with. Right? I'm sure you've seen that happen so many times. And so what I think of with these customer inquiries is you're trying to build a dialogue, which is what you just talked about, build a relationship. It doesn't have to yet be an intimate. It just could be a discussion, and then just suss out what the needs of this person's life are so that you can trigger that serendipitous moment of the love connection. Like, it flips. And once people fall in love with a home, you've seen this singular focus on getting that house because they're starting to see their life and their kids in the school, or, hanging out near the beach, or whatever, like that visual thing that happens in people's heads, that they pursue this thing. And so I'm always looking to examine, how is one going to go ahead and make that serendipitous connection, that flip? It's like an on-off switch. And so every one of these things is an opportunity, even if the customer is grouchy and unpleasant and doesn't want to give a phone number. It definitely happens. There's value in there, and with empathy, you can win.
That's genius. That's huge. I hope all of you watching, I'm replaying this. I'm just going to let you know, because what you just shared is just amazing. Okay, so let's talk about leadership, Greg. What is one of the most important lessons you've learned in your powerhouse career? Oh my goodness. I mean, you have quite a background. What's one of the most powerful leadership lessons you've learned? Yeah, and
this learning thing this curiosity doesn't finish. So I'm not sure I had this clearly. I'm leading with more empathy now. I'm leading with way more empathy than I used to. I used to pursue and recommend leaders pursue objectives and goals and quantitative measures, and that stuff matters a lot. But let's acknowledge, I guess there's acknowledgement in leadership that there aren't good people and bad people. There aren't good performers and bad performers, and we're too quick to categorize people, I think. There are people that are at different spots of their capabilities. And so my big leadership insight, I'm not sure it's an amazing insight, but trying to lead with empathy, trying to lead with care to understand how to draw the best performance out of all the people that I interact with is what we're supposed to do as leaders. I think of it now as a bit like a movie director, and I'm not a movie director, nor do I know any, but I think of them as having talent in a movie and trying to figure out what drives each of their actors, or each of your team members in your case, and figuring out how to provide that to them to get the greatest productivity out of them. So I think we all need to lead with a little bit more empathy, and it comes home in times like this. That's the first. And the second is the importance of transparency. And I'm starting to dream about what's next. I would share, I have a radical think, which is, I don't know about you all, but I'm a pretty good note taker. And I take my notes in Google Docs. And when I next work or have the opportunity, hopefully, to lead, I'm going to flip on my Google Docs to share to my entire company. And so every meeting I go to, everyone's going to be able to see every note I take. And so I'm going to try to eliminate, this is a leadership principle, I find people do their best work when they're not fearful.
Yeah.
And fear often comes from the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we fear so much, and when you get to the other side of things, oftentimes the other party had no idea.
Yeah.
They don't know what's in your head. So I'm going to try to this is a long-winded answer. I'm going to try to let folks know what's in my head. But when I attend meetings as a leader, because I hope to lead again, get the opportunity to, I'm going to publish my schedule to all of my teammates, and I'm going to publish my notes to all my teammates. So they can see what I'm thinking and what I'm doing as the leader of the org. And then I'm going to turn on commenting, because you can do that in Google Docs. I'm going to let all my teammates tell me I'm wrong in my notes if they have a different point of view, and we'll all be better for it. So again, I went a little tactical, but
that's true transparency. I think that's true transparency, and that's leading boldly, because you're putting it out there, and I think that's amazing. If only other leaders would do things like that, how far along would everybody be, right?
Yeah. Well, we talk about authentic collaboration, right? I mean, that is the very definition. You're putting yourself out there, and you're opening up. It's a mind share in a different way, right? It's also, I would imagine, a way for you to crowdsource additional enhancements of those ideas.
Right. That's exactly the place. So one thing, I'll give you another one of my funny stories. Almost every year at my last company, we're growing, we're doubling in size. So I started, and maybe there were 40 or 50 of us, and when I left, I think there were 5,500 teammates. And so in a little over 10 years, we kind of 100x the size of the company, and there wasn't a time where people didn't feel that they didn't know the things they needed to know. Let me say that more clearly. Everyone always felt like we were lousy communicators, and everyone wanted more communication, not less, and everyone always felt left out. And I was walking down the street in Denver at the NAA show, the National Apartment Association show. And if there's anyone on the phone here in Denver, there's like a street with a bunch of restaurants, and it's closed. I remember walking down the middle of the street, and there's a big, massive garbage heap because it was a big show. And there were two garbage folks picking up the garbage. And I literally heard one say to the other, "Those idiots at headquarters, they never tell me anything." And I was like, oh my God, even the garbage men feel that they're not well enough communicated to. And it was a freedom of understanding at that moment. So here's what my net take is. We're all searching for more communication and to be included in our jobs every day. And I want my next assignment to be a fearless culture, not a fearful culture. And I think how we get to fearlessness, so less fear, not more fear, fearlessness, is by understanding as much as we possibly can about what our leaders' intentions are, because we worry about them, right? Every one of us does. So that's what this all is trying to get to, is observations I've had for the past decade scaling this company. that too much fear, and let's go to fearless. And the best I can come up with is run it openly, let everyone know as much as what their leaders know. And then people maybe will be a little less fearful and have more fun.
Well, and in that process, I mean, how powerful that you're willing to open the books, if you will. And in the process, you'll be creating leaders, right? Because they're going to be watching and following great leadership. And we talk about that all the way from, being parents and trying to be leaders for our children, right? Being leaders in our community. And what you're talking about is creating an organization, whatever kind of corporation you're doing, or whatever your next role is, but you're now creating an organization full of leaders because they're mimicking and they're watching great leadership. I think it's awesome. It's brilliant. And I know we overuse that, but I'm just thinking of what an impact that would make on so many and the organization itself.
Yeah, I simply adore what Google has built in their Google Docs. Collaboration is just so easy and it's free, right. and any team can do it regardless of size. And I just think it's very powerful for us all.
That's powerful advice. Another thing I've already made a note of.
Cool.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Greg, we're curious. What does leading from the heart mean to you?
Leading from the heart. Huh. These are good, tough questions. I'm going to go back to empathy. Leading from the heart means I actually look at the people around the table with me, and I try, not at every moment, but I actually try to think of them not just as units of production. That's not leading from the heart. But as people with needs, wants, and dreams, and genuinely believing if I can help them get there as a leader, it'll be better for everybody. And this stuff is said often, but man, I know, I can tell in the two of you, I can tell you for me, when I'm happy and when I'm feeling respected, when no one's yelling at me, when people tell me they care about me at work, I'm darn more productive, right? I'm really more productive. And I believe in the purpose, and I'm nicer to be around. And in the few times in my career where I haven't had that, they've been my least joyful and my least productive. So leading from the heart for me means having empathy for those that I'm standing next to and standing with, by thinking about what they want, what they need, how I can help them get there. And then going ahead and holding, this is the other one, everyone, including myself, but everyone around me accountable, regardless of how senior they are, regardless of how productive and profitable they are. Everyone needs to be held accountable to that same empathetic heart standard. And if you let bullies hang around, you can't achieve it.
Wow.
What an awesome 48 minutes this has been.
Fun.
I mean, we gained so much in these conversations, and you have an incredible resume and background and reputation. And so I was expecting great things. I definitely did not expect this. This has been an awesome interview and getting to know you more. So we are incredibly humbled that you joined us today.
Thank you.
In your gap year, Greg, in your gap year.
Absolutely. From your basement.
From the game room. Yeah, hey, we could have talked about AI algorithms and debt yields, the mortgage industry, but this is a time to talk about people and hearts, I think, not about that stuff. We can do that a different day.
I do have a random question, though, that one of the agents I was talking to earlier had asked me, and you referenced Spencer earlier, and Spencer wrote a book. I think it's called Zillow Talks, maybe? Is that correct?
Yeah.
And he was talking about when pricing homes, if you have a 9 as your last number, your last non-zero number, homes sell for more. And they wanted to know if that was the truth and if that's a good strategy to implement. And I was like, I have no idea. I've never heard that strategy, but I'm throwing it out there for you if you have any answers.
That's a goodie. That's a goodie. I am confident because I trust the 2 co-authors of that book. Spence wrote it and a guy named Stan Humphreys.
That's right.
who no Snickers, the father of this estimate, but a data scientist. They're two great minds. And I read that stat as well, and I'm certain they did data analysis on that. Yeah, I think what I think about it, and I think about how we're marketing our home and how we're looking, you want to be really careful because email alerts, as we all know, email alerts are critical to getting exposure on a home. And every time you step up to the next whole number, you eliminate a whole lot of email alerts because most of the saved searches are done through drop downs.
Right.
Done our whole numbers. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone do a 99999 or 9998 kind of for an email alert. So I bet that's real. And it's about exposure.
Well, there you go. A question from the audience was answered right here. So thank you.
Yeah.
Greg, wherever you decide to go after you're done with your gap year, or when your gap year has come to the end, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, those that you will be leading will be a very lucky organization. Thank you for sharing your wisdom on Leadership from the Heart today. We're just so darn grateful to have you.
Yeah, thank you. It's really been cool to dig in to what you all are building here authentically. And it feels really good. It's really positive and really happy. So I'm here anytime, hanging in the basement.
We're excited, and we look forward to our paths crossing in some way in the future for sure.
Good.
You let us know if we can serve you in any way.
Absolutely.
We're always here.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, Greg. Bye, Elizabeth.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, later.
Bye, y'all.